Greetings and salutations, it's Quiz again, back for some more Pokemon Unite Ranked. They reset the season, so it's no longer Season 20, it's Season 21. And I went from being Ultra 1, I almost made Masters again, and I got shuffled all the way down to Veteran 2. And earlier today, I had a few games where it didn't go so well, and I dropped down to Veteran 3. I noticed something, that when you're down in the Veteran ranks, that you have people that aren't as good at the game as people that are up in like Ultra and up in Masters, which makes sense, arguably. If you're up in Ultra and Masters, you're better at the game. But you'd figure that these people would be at least somewhat well-versed in how the game is played. No. Earlier today was an absolute travesty. I had teams that didn't know what they were doing. I mean, they were all over the place, and it was not going well. But today, I thought I would play some Clefable and get a little, I don't know, just a little bit of support going. It's not very often that you see, you know, I mean, yeah, Clefable's a good support, but the way I have him built makes him very bulky, as you can see. I mean, running Rocky Helm and the Assault Vest, as well as the Experience Share, gives him extra HP. And I have him with the tank/support setup, which gives him even more HP and more defenses. And it's just to keep him in the fight longer. That's it. And to generate EXP for my my allies. Now, I like to go Moonlight and Follow Me. Gravity's okay for highly mobile teams. Like, you wouldn't really need Gravity here. I mean, you have Saralege, who might be able to move a little bit. You have Mimikyu over here. If I can get it to show over there. It goes off screen. Anyway, you have Mimikyu. He can be a little bit mobile. Cinderace has some moves, but you know, you don't have to worry too much about that. I think Follow Me is a better maneuver, at least in that regard. Now, see, right there, this Bulbasaur should have been taking all of this EXP, because when I have the EXP share, I don't, you know, I get bonus EXP when they do the attacking and they do the killing. So, right there, he should be doing all of that. Yeah, it figures. We'll just let that one go. Now I'm behind, but I should be. I'm generating extra experience for others. I'll take that. That was a bad move on his part. Good pickup from the Saralege. I'm gonna go into Moonlight. I mean, this is just it. Like, you know, you want to get to be bulky enough so that you don't have to worry about a lot of things, and then, you know, make sure your Saralege doesn't overextend. And that's something else I've noticed. A lot of people like to overextend in a fight, and I would prefer they didn't. I mean, you'll see them, they'll go a little too far deep into an attack, and you just kind of... You don't want them to do that, because, again, if they're going too deep and they overextend, you generally feed experience to the other team. That's never a good thing. Now, there are teams that obviously, you know, you're going to have people that are going to feed. Well, see, this is the thing. Where was my team? Not here. They were gone. I mean, I'm trying to solo defend something, and they're gone. No, you can't just let them have the objective like that. I mean, you have to fight for the objective. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Now, the other thing about Moonlight is, once you get Moonlight Plus, it gets to be a really powerful move. You get a lot of health back for it. I don't really notice much of a difference between Follow Me and Follow Me Plus. Though I'm sure there's probably something. That's a bad move on his part. That's a bad move on my part, too. I mean, top lane should not be... They need to come bottom. Like, somebody top lane needs to come bottom lane. They should have come bottom a long time ago, and they didn't. It's... Like, I get that they want to press top lane. I get that they want to take the second level. But you just coughed up an objective, and you never want that. And something like that right there. Yeah, you don't. You're dead. Now, I play differently with different, with certain Pokemon differently. And I know that sounds very obvious. Like, oh yes, I play different Pokemon differently. I meant, like, there are times that you can play, Clefable as more of a DPS deal. There are times that can happen. You can go with Draining Kiss. But you kind of have to almost build around it. And I don't just mean... like the itemization, I'm saying you have to get your emblems built around it too. But Draining Kiss is not exactly like a terrible thing. It does work, it's very strong, and if you can get solo targets and you don't have anybody around you that you need to heal, you can do a lot of damage with it. I mean, we're talking upwards of 2k damage with it, which is that's a pretty strong ability. That's pretty bulky on a Clefable. Quite a bit of damage on him. Yeah, I mean, that is just an absurd amount of damage from the Ceruledge. Somebody explain to me why they buffed him. I still can't figure that out. They buffed Ceruledge, and I still have not figured out why. It's not like he needed it. Yeah, he was underused. He had an underused statistic because nobody wanted to play the Ceruledge. But now he's too strong, and it's like, can we not have him be that strong, please? My team is just getting absolutely rolled now, so it's cooked. I mean, we're not gonna win the fights. I mean, my team seems to think we're going to, but we're not. I mean. We might be ahead on score right now, but that's no translation. We're losing team fights. When you start losing team fights, you lose the ground you had, and when you lose the ground you had, it's pretty much over. And now they're taking every objective. Regielekis, Registeel, Regice, and now they can push objectives like that. And you have Ceruledge coming in and just destroying people, so it's like, you kind of need to put the stop to that, but you really can't, because there's nothing you can do to stop it. Yep, we just lost him top. He's gonna go score a 50. You know what I mean? They're defending their objectives. Did my team defend the objective? No. No. We went and we fought on their objective and died instead of backing out. I mean, I shouldn't have been there either. Now we should go to the top objective, but we're not going to make it there in time. There's going to be the fight mid, and the fight mid is going to go probably poorly. Yeah, they've already engaged on it. And I'm already dead. That fast. 100 to 0 on just auto attacks and Ceruledge. And our Ceruledge is dead. And there we just lost the Venusaur. Nope, not the Venusaur, sorry. The Delphox. We may have scored 100. But we just lost him. Oh, gee. Now you're wanting to do the same vote? Oh, the same vote I wanted to do a while ago? Gee, how did I know that was going to happen? It's almost like a Nostradamus or something. Yep, and we lost. We went from winning to losing. All because we lost a couple of team fights. And that's it. It's gone. I tried to tell him. I tried to concede a while ago. They just, I guess they didn't want to hear it. And this is the way my day went earlier. It just is not going well. The amount of HP I recovered was, I'd have to say, fairly decent, but, you know, it's one of those things. My team just wasn't there. Things weren't going. We won the early game. We totally won the early game. And then the late game we lost. Maybe look at the battle data. Look at my recovery. And the amount of damage taken. It just... nothing you can do about it. Because we were losing team fights. And that's what happens. This is why when people say, oh, you know, you have to get the objectives. The game's not about the objectives. Literally any MOBA that's played is won or lost at the team fight stage. And if you're getting ganked or, you know, you get picked off or something, okay, yeah, it sucks. But there's not much you can really do about it, right? However, if you get to the team fight stage where it's no longer really, you know, oh, they picked me off, I could have played better. If you're past that, if you're to that stage where you know, you could have played better but you didn't, or you could have done something different, etc. I'm gonna switch up my build here and see if I can get a little bit better. Where is it? Is it down here? Yeah, my rescue hood. Yeah, increases recovery effect by 10%. I'm gonna also get some more held item support. I'm gonna try my tickets for held items. Not held items, but for item enhancers. But it's more along the lines of, you have to, if you're getting to the point of, like I was saying, of the team fight stage, and the team fights are getting away from you, and you're realizing we're not winning these team fights the way we should, then that's where it needs to change. That's the issue where your team has to really tighten up and focus more on the team fight and less on the actual, you know, scoring, ganking phase. Because if you're... I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. What do you mean, you know, less on the scoring? It's all about the score. True. True. The game, when it boils down to it, the game is all about the score. However, if you get to the point where you're in the team fight stage and you're so focused on the scoring, you won't pay attention to the team fights. When you don't pay attention to the team fights, what happens? Oh, well, you end up losing the team fights. And when you lose the team fights, you end up losing your scoring advantage. Because now you're all dead because the team fight happened and you kind of died. So there's that aspect of it too, where you really have to, you know, kind of pay attention to the team fights and try to win the team fights. It seems weird, but I've played a ton of MOBAs. I'll play another game of Clefable, now that I've got different items. I wanted to try the bulkier build that way, but it appears it didn't work very well, because I'm guessing I needed the 10% extra recovery. Also, having the leftovers. If I'm out of combat, I'll automatically heal. But it's a team fight. It's a team fight focused game. If you can win the team fight stage, you can win the scoring phase of the game. Now, when it boils down to the Rayquaza fight, they didn't notice how they didn't push the Rayquaza, right? They didn't push it until after our team was dead, and that's kind of what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wipe the enemy team and then push the Rayquaza. You're supposed to position yourself in such a way that gives you the advantage, hoping that they initiate the Rayquaza fight. Because if they do that and they initiate the Rayquaza fight first, then you're talking, you know, you're looking at possibly winning the game just solely off of the Rayquaza fight. Whether or not they actually engage the Rayquaza fight or whether they just back out of it. Same thing happens in League of Legends when people back out of the Baron Nashor fight. Or whatever. That shows how long ago I played, when Baron Nashor was the only thing on the map. It's just one of those, you have to really like worry about when to fight, when not to fight. Now, if you can gank, if you can, like, for example, the Dodrio we have up there, the Dodrio we have. If you can get in there and gank with the Dodrio and pick off a few people and kind of throw the experience in your favor and then snowball from there, works great. As the last game we played, you noticed, no doubt, that the snowballing we had early in the game, where we just dominated bottom and we were dominating top, and it flipped, and it's because we started losing team fights bottom. It wasn't really a gank, we just started losing complete team fights. We had 4-on-4s and we were losing them. And that's when it flipped over the other way and put us behind. And putting us behind like that is just awful. This is what you're supposed to do as a support. You're supposed to leave those for them and pick up the kills like that. It doesn't matter if they pick up, pick that up there. This is what you're supposed to do. You're basically supposed to let the other person get all the attacks. I'll take that. Time to get out. I'm dead. Now see, our mid went top. This is where not reading the room is to your detriment. They should have read the room and been like, wait a minute. Bottom seems to be getting pressed. I need to go bottom to push back. Not our mid. Nope. To the top he goes. And now we're getting completely rolled at bottom. And we're basically, it's cooked already. Bottom is pretty much a lost cause right now. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, we're pushing back. And I'm dead. And he's dead too. Where's top? See what I mean? This is what I'm saying. The game is being won or lost right now in the team fight phase. And now top is losing the game because they're not being able to push. You got 3-on-2 and you can't push out on top. That's telling me something. That tells me that it's not looking good. And top just lost a Sliggoo. So now we're talking, we got problems. Now we're behind. So because bottom went top and now we're lost top too. And this game is pretty much over already. Kinda sad how fast that happens. Now there's a chance that we can pull it back, but now that our, you know, Larvitar is AFK, probably not. That's pretty much over. This is one of the reasons I don't like Larvitar. I don't like Tyranitar. At all. I think Tyranitar is an absolutely terrible choice. I mean, if he gets going and he can steamroll to the end, great. You get ahead of the game, you do really well. But if he can't, you fall behind, and then what happens? That's what happens. I mean, look at the team. 7, 9, 7, 6, 8, and they're 10s. It's over. Like, this game is going to be a quick game. It's going to be a quick loss. It's best to just get it out and get it done and over with. And in all honesty, it's like, we should just call it when we got the chance. Like, I can't heal him enough. I really can't. Where was my team? Wasn't there with me. Can we call it yet? We can. Good. And that's what happens when your team AFKs or chooses Tyranitar. You just get steamrolled. See what I mean about map attentiveness? And I really can't stress it enough. So when you look at the map and you realize that your team down here is getting thrashed, don't stay the opposite side. It's time for you to adjust and make that adjustment. But nobody on the team did. It was up to legitimately, like, I almost did more damage than the Dodrio. I did do more damage than the Tyranitar. And I did more damage than the tank. None of this is good. Like, a support should not do that much damage. If a support's doing that much damage, it's not working. It's just not working. But, as always, I leave these things unedited. I do want to stress the point, and it's something that I will say, that if you're going to get into the game, if you're going to get into Pokemon Unite, it's a really fun game if you have competent team members, right? It's still good fun even without competent team members, so if you have teammates that are just arguably a bit of a dullard, then it's okay. You can kind of deal with it. Not the greatest. But I've had teams that were, as you saw there, kind of a dullard. And it's still fun. It's still fun to play. But having a conscious awareness of the map and knowing that it's about the team fights, it really is. That's going to take you miles in this game. You can play your class, you can play your, I'm just going to call it a class, but you can play your Pokemon flawlessly. Like, I didn't play Clefable flawlessly. I made mistakes. I know where the mistakes I made are. I know some of the mistakes my teammates made. I can see those, and I can rectify those. Like, when we were in the lower right and we were on that first tier, the fact that Dragapult didn't press further on that Clefable when we had the chance, we should have. We should have just pressed it a little further, and then we should have just backed out as soon as he went back toward the citrus berries. We should have just left. But we stayed. Like, I wanted to back out. I started heading back, but it didn't matter. By the time he decided to reverse the engagement, the Chandelure had already come down, and it was over. It was Lampent at that time, and we just dunked us. So, knowing those things, knowing when to engage, knowing when to get out, knowing when to start the team fight, or initiate, or counter-initiate, especially if you're a tank. If you're a tank, your job is to initiate. If you're a all-arounder, you're kind of like in a counter and initiate. Attackers are just pure damage. Support is exactly that, support. Now, our tank was not engaging. They were not the ones initiating the fight. So I couldn't back them up. I couldn't be behind them, giving them the support. It doesn't work that way. So it didn't play out in our advantage. Now, Tyranitar, I'm gonna say a couple of things, and this might be a hot take. So, Unite hot take. You can just put it right there in the title. Pokemon Unite hot take. Tyranitar and Dragonite are absolute dumpster. Now, people say, but they're so powerful. They are. If you can get them there. Tyranitar and Dragonite both suffer a slow EXP growth. In order for them to get to that point, you have to have a few conditions met. First, you have to basically give them all the farm. Second, you have to have at least one or more people running EXP share on your team. And third, you have to make sure they do not die and fall behind. They have to be ahead. Because once they get farmed, they get to be very powerful. But you have to let them get there. Problem is they never seem to get there because they think, oh, well, I'm Dragonite or I'm Tyranitar, I could go out and do this. And they kind of get a little bit of intestinal fortitude, a little bit too much for their tastes, and they bite off more than they can chew. It gives them a little bit of indigestion, and then they end up back at the base, you know, with a respawn timer. So they're good, but they're not at the same time. So they run that fine line of you really have to watch out. I wish I could have won a game there, but, you know, hey, that's the way things go. But I hope everybody enjoys it. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and a fantastic tomorrow. And as always, have a good one.